Today we're getting under the hood with Larissa Mills, a mother, daughter, sister, and an esteemed cognitive behavioral sports specialist, educational behavioral consultant, holding a BA in sociology, psychology, and a master's of science in education, specializing in brain functionality and learning mechanisms. With over 25 years of coaching experience across various sports, Larissa's insights have been honed through a deep understanding of athletic dynamics and behavior. Driven by her passion for maximizing athlete potential, Larissa's journey began with a profound question. Why were some athletes falling short of their potential? This inquiry led her to uncover a crucial connection between excessive phone usage, social media engagement, and parenting practices. Recognizing the impact of these factors on psychological development and social skills, Larissa delved further. The culmination of her expertise and discoveries culminated in the inception of the Mental Game Academy. This innovative program, born from Larissa's unique vantage point, addresses the intricate challenges posed by contemporary technology and parenting styles. By creating a hybrid educational platform, Larissa's Academy focuses on equipping athletes not only in their chosen sports, but also in crucial life skills often overlooked. Larissa Mills' dedication to holistic coach and athlete development, informed by her research in phone use and mental skills to change how coaching development can meet this digital athlete where they are at. Her programs exemplify her commitment to shaping capable, well-rounded individuals with the Mental Game Academy. Well, welcome, Larissa.
Thank you so much for having me. Finally, we're able to be together.
Exactly. Well, awesome. I think things have a way of happening, right?
Yes.
I'm so excited because it's season 4, Women's March for Mental Wellness, and you've been on this journey with the Mental Game Academy and all the work you've done over the years. So I look forward to getting under the hood with you. So if it's okay, can we get started?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. Love this question. And I'm really curious as it relates to all of the work you've done, which is, what was that inflection point that got you on this mental health and wellness journey?
I don't think it was just one thing. I think it was an accumulation of several things all happening in a domino effect where I saw behavior in athletes and behavior in the schools tanking. And I was raised to be, respectful of my coaches, listen to my coaches, give my best, work hard, play hard, have fun, have social skills. We were outside 7 hours a day, right? So where I think it started was actually back in 2000, maybe 1999, where I started to see things change in the schools, and I was working in the schools with behavioral and kids with behavioral issues, because we typically deal 100% of our time with 10% of a population, right? As a principal or as a coach, or right? The good kids are okay. They're going to function. Well, now it's reversed. Now, less than 25% of kids are actually well behaved in classes. And this is why we're in such an epidemic in schools, right? So I started to see this happening in schools. Then in 2000, I started to see the Nokia phones come in. And I started to see, what the heck are these little things doing in my classroom? Like, I was teaching history at a high school here, and I hadn't started the Mental Game Academy yet, right? But I noticed, I'm like, they were all on their phones in my class. And this was the first time I'd ever seen this. So I went out the next day and I bought a basket. Said, if you're in my class, you want attendance, put your phone in the basket. This was 25 years ago, right? My classes behaved well. They achieved very high percentages, no distractions, right? Because we know that there's a link between long-term memory and using paper to pen more. My kids had to, I marked a lot, I worked a lot, but the kids learned more, right? So I started to see that happen. Then as I was coaching, I started to see them coming into the gym. They wouldn't exactly say hello to me and the staff. And I was like, they were back on their phones. So, basket, here we go. Put the phones in the basket. No, there are no phones in my gym at all. This is a safety hazard. It's also a bullying issue. And there are also kids starting to be left out. And now this accumulative effect, here we are today with the highest depression, highest anxiety rates, highest behavioral issues, highest amount of teachers quitting, highest amount of coaches quitting, and the most overweight population of children I've seen. What was going on? So it grew from there, honestly, Elizabeth. Somehow I started to track and develop a program that would help our athletes that were in trouble or students. Because if you work with the 10% of the population that's struggling, insecure, lacking mental skills, confidence, or parents are divorcing, whatever it might be, well, why don't you just work with them? Then they can catch up with the rest of the kids in schools. So that's where I think I had the first point of, I want to say, collection, data, anecdotal, observational. And then I started to say, okay, to the boards, you can't have these phones in here. You can't. You couldn't have fidget spinners, so why are you allowing phones? Fidget spinners didn't even give you dopamine, but you took those out. But you're giving them the most dangerous tool out there with no boundaries. So I said, if you're going to let them in, I'm out because I can't compete with dopamine. No teacher can. So I tried to ban, and the full ban came in 20 years later in schools. And so I've been working on that. But I hadn't actually worked in Mental Game Academy for, I think it's been 8 years now. And I think it just naturally came up as I owned a Pilates studio because I left teaching. So I started to help women and I started to talk with women. And we all just need to feel valued and heard and belonged. It's not much. Like, it's free. It's free, women. And to help other women. Like, I help other women build their businesses. It has nothing to do with me. I support them. I help athletes. I don't ask for money. You know what I mean? Like, just do it because you want to help. And now everyone's out for the cash grab and what's in it for me. And that's not the way we should treat each other. So
Yeah.
that was sort of when I was watching and listening to the moms at the school or the moms at soccer or the moms at hockey and how everyone wants to complain about something. And yes, I can be at fault too for when something's not functioning when I know it can be better. That's actually a problem I have. Making if something can function better than it's functioning.
Well, actually, I think that's that's a great moment to actually sort of go back a little to where it all began for you, because I think that just witnessing that gap, if you will, as a teacher and noticing that problem and
Mhm.
saying, what can I do about it? Like running to the roar with a situation where, by the way, you didn't have to do it. You could just continue to teach, your kids could slip, and it would all be the same because that's what was going to happen anyway. But the fact that it became something almost like a passion project for you to sort of figure out, like, how do I fix this or find the missing pieces to the puzzle? And so I think that that's really interesting. So I'm curious. So you're observing all of this in schools and everything.
And
Um,
sports, yeah, yeah, in the sports
exactly,
and the
exactly.
coaches. I'm watching it all happen and going,
Hmm.
basically I said, what the fuck in my head? Like every minute. Why are you doing this? Why are you allowing and lowering the bar of behavior? Because 30 years ago, we didn't have, as you know, a problem with coaches, a problem with parents. Parents sided with coaches. Yeah, my kid was hitting another kid. He probably shouldn't do that, right? Okay, coach, you discipline the way you want. Now, no, my kid wouldn't do that. I fully allow a coach to discipline my kid where warranted. Absolutely. Because it takes a village to raise kids. It does. It takes a coach, a teacher, and a parent because that's how they all have to fit into society. We're trying to make productive humans here that are happy. Right now, we're not even equipping them,
Right. Well, and I think
right?
actually to that point, not
Yeah.
to go off on a tangent,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I think the thing is, as adults, we're not equipping them, and likely because we ourselves aren't happy, so we're not role modeling the behaviors. But I think that, but I think what's interesting is going back to the data and starting to accumulate data
Oh, yes.
around phone usage, social media. So how did that, can you sort of
Yep.
explain sort of what you did and how your research unfolded?
Okay, let's not make I sound old. So back in 19, I think it was 1999, I started to track and notice some changes in behavior of those kids who had the brick phones. Like the big salt, like they could knock someone out with those. Then I noticed in 2000 in the classroom and in there, and then with my own athletes. And then the stats medically started to go up. Behavior, violence, detentions, not going to school is one of the saddest attendance records I've ever seen. Was in one of our Canadian boards. I think it was the Catholic system. I think they have risen to the highest point of school attendance they've ever seen, where kids are not showing up for school. So my concern is, if you don't show up, you shouldn't get the grade. And in England, they have adapted a beautiful program, a remediation program, where if your child is behind in grammar, mathematics, English, then your child has to attend a remediation 2 weeks to stay with their grade. So if your child doesn't want to do that over again, right, there are consequences. And we in a society today, consequences is actually a great word. It's a needed function for kids. And we shouldn't be afraid of giving them the C word or the D word, which is discipline. Throughout time, all parents have been able to discipline their kids and teachers. And when we were able to do this, behavior stayed in check. That just means, from this perspective of psychology, that children's brains are like, yeah, I can't hit Johnny. No, I can't bully. No, I can't push her or pull her hair. No, you can't do those things, right? You can't leave people out. And we didn't have this problem 25 years ago with leaving people out. Like every girl I tested last week at a hockey camp, every girl put down on the forum, I feel left out all the time. That's horrible, right?
It's interesting that you say that, because you
Horrible.
mentioned very early, as we were just starting, you said that, that sense of belonging. And I think there is but I think that it's tricky. And I think back to all of the work you've done on the phone usage and social media,
Oh,
that's
right.
where the disparity happens. And I would say, you know what, Larissa, I would say bullying happened. I was badly bullied.
It
So
did, but not to
bullying,
this
yes,
extent.
I think
Not
this extent, because they're using multi-modalities for it,
correct.
right?
It's
So,
all day. You can't escape it, right?
so I'd like to hear, actually, I'd love to
Oh,
go on a little bit of that journey with the hockey team. You started asking these questions, huh?
oh, well, and every team I do and I have worked with, we do a mental skills assessment. So I learn a little bit about how their brains work. So do they have the steps of resilience? Do they have coping mechanisms? Do they have confidence boosting techniques? Do they have control mechanisms? So we find out where they're. Then we ask the magic $1 million question: how much phone time are you on every day? We know with studies and Dr. Twengay's and all the four pediatric societies we work with, American, British, Australian, and Canadian, that if kids are on phones for more than 2 hours a day, they will talk more negatively. Their identity is, I want to say, it's filled with ambiguity. They have low self-esteem. They don't know who they are because they're not figuring it out. Naturally, they're being told who they should be from social media. To a girl today, I wouldn't want to be a girl today, growing up. I wouldn't. I far preferred myself growing up learning who I was through experiences and different social events over my lifetime and family memories than walking into something on Instagram and going, yeah, you suck, your dress isn't nice. This is how we're raising the kids, virtually and in person. Because if you're not checking it online as a parent to make sure this behavior is not condonable, then you're letting them do it. You're part of the problem, right? So let's go back to the assessment. So almost 87% of girls talk negatively to themselves today between the ages of 12 and 22. This is heartbreaking, right? Like heartbreaking. That means they're stuck in a cycle of addiction, usually because 4 hours a day or more, don't expect more. 2 or less, we can be our best, right? That's our little saying. So we know that kids, when we test them, if they're on their phones less than 2 hours a day, they're probably not exposed to the level of immature content, bullying that they see because it's there every day. And they're isolated and cut in and out of groups since they were 8 years old now, right? That's nuts. And they're becoming more violent, girls as well. The fighting, the punching, the violence I'm seeing is outrageous, and we have to do something, right? And it's a big link. Actually, no, that's a horrible word. There is a direct link between increased phone usage, social media and phone doom scrolling, so short video watching, to how isolated we feel, right? We really need to be great people for ourselves, but for others. And you got to find that vibe amongst your tribe, right? That's what I say. Find your people. You only feel as good as the Debbie Downer in your group, right? So this whole social media, they're finding all these false influencers who don't care about them. They care about the money they're going to make off these people. There's the big thing. And they think they can all be an influencer. Well, you have to be a good person, actually, and smart and have education to be an influencer. A good one, right? That has sticking power. And many of the girls today just try to be someone they're not or older than someone they're not. So they're really not maturing and growing and developing their concrete thinking, critical thinking, problem solving skills the way they should. They've missed this gap because kids have been on phones 29,000 hours by 16. That is 3 years of their lives.
That's
This,
crazy.
right? So we're dealing, everyone says people are getting soft. I'm like, no, they're not getting soft. They just have no mental skills. If you had coping skills, you could cope with what someone's saying, right? But we're harsher to each other. But if you had more mental skills, you could cope with that or block it out.
Well, it's like just hearing this, Larissa, it's like which came first, the chicken or the egg, which, and what I mean by that is, you have the phone, you have the social media, but also like because they're spending so much time there, they're not time out in the real world
They're
experiencing
not.
life. So they're not
Exactly.
having real world interactions that give
Right.
them the coping skills, the
All of it.
resilience, all
Yeah.
of the things that come just from living life. It's tricky as well because it is a societal thing. And then the families, I mean, I think that we're all working, we're online all the time, and that's how we do our work. And so it's very natural to us. So I think probably a lot of us don't think about that. I mean, just hearing you say and speak about these statistics, my daughters are older,
Saying.
and I'm just so grateful because they did have the bullying and all of that. They had it more in school than
Right.
on
But
devices,
now it's 24/7.
you
So
know.
your nervous system just conks out and the suicide rate is gone up exponentially when
Yeah,
we look at each country,
and then you're
right?
looking at constantly being in a state of fight or flight, which means you're not able to take in
Yeah.
and really process information, right?
Correct. Correct.
So,
We
so
can't process if we're in yellow or red on a traffic light. We can only process and be a happy human being if we're in green and beast mode on our traffic light. Like, right? We try and get our athletes, okay, you said something negative to yourself, squash it, make it go away. Tell yourself something awesome. I am strong. I am powerful. I am confident. Squash the thought. And they have all these different low side techniques and mental techniques to use, but your brain is really cool. If you are telling yourself amazing things about yourself and using mantras or self talk, it's just like the Jedi bubble. Darth Vader can't get his bad words in there, right? So that's how we train. The girls that go through our program have never felt that confident before.
that's
They just
awesome.
said, all I needed was these tools. And it's not that parents don't know how to teach them. It's quite frankly, it's about the time. Because if
It's
they're on their
time.
phones 5 to 10 hours a day and the kids are on their phones 6 to 12 hours a day, no one's hanging out with anybody anymore. There's no connection, there's less communication, and there's probably just yelling,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So it's pretty sad when the kids tell me, "Yeah, I don't want to be in the car after my game with my parents."
Like, well, I don't know if I told you, Larissa, but I have three competitive athletes in my
Yeah,
family. My eldest was a
yeah.
professional one, and when she lost, the drive home was torture.
I
It
know.
was
But
torture,
you probably
and
were supportive.
I was
She was
support.
probably upset,
No,
right?
yeah, but her father was not, like,
Yeah, yeah.
and so what I will say to you is it's brutal in that competitive environment, but I love the fact that you have this mental game academy, that you're
Oh, yeah.
empowering these young women and young men to really understand, to take hold and feel that sense of strength and power. Because like for us, like we were always about having our kids do sports to stay healthy and
Yes.
well and keep them out of trouble, but they ended up getting really good at the
Good.
sports, and it was great
Good.
because that's a very empowering experience when you get good at something.
Right. And what you just hit the nail on the head. So whoever's listening, one of the biggest statistics I just heard, and after me going through breast cancer, I heard something very interesting. Kids need to be mentally fit and physically fit and find a sport by 10 years old. Because if they don't, they won't. So that's hurting our whole entire healthcare system, north and south of the border, because I'm in Canada, right? It's hurting everyone. Kids
Mhm.
today are not getting involved in multiple sports. They're only playing something 3 times a week. I'm sorry, but 1 hour of walking a week or 3 times a week is not enough. A child needs to move and play 6 hours a day. They're not getting it, not at school and not at home, right? And for your health long term, a woman's indicators of having an early period are not good. That means they're overweight, right? And we want to be fit so we can be fit medically for life because breast cancer is linked to obesity in childhood. And what type of cancers, I don't know. I don't want to speak to that. That's not my medical experience. But far as I know, when I was with a geneticist and my surgeon, they were saying my one saving grace was that I didn't have my period till I was 17. I had a great fitness level and I was extremely fit. Rower, horseback riding, volleyball, basketball, track, football. Like I did everything. Like I can't even list. So by that point, girls have already had 9 more years of estrogen than me. Your chances of estrogen positive breast cancer goes up very high. So these girls, and I'm seeing a lot of overweight girls, which means we need to help. We need to get these kids moving and get them
Uh,
not, you don't have to be athletic. Don't care about that. I want you to be fit for life.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
We
well,
did
yeah,
that at a very young age, because we met playing sport. So we just got the kids and they wanted to do what we were doing. So it became very
good.
natural. And it was a great thing for the family to do. But I think Fit for Life is really good. I do want to go back, Larissa,
Yeah,
and talk a little bit about you because I think this passion for really getting in and sort of educating and empowering young women and teaching, like really giving them life skills to sort of set them up. And it doesn't matter. I think you made a really good point. It's not just about sport. This is about life. However,
exactly.
sport is the metaphor in
Is the
which you
vehicle
can,
I use
the
usually.
vehicle.
Yeah,
Couldn't
yeah,
agree
yeah.
more.
I enjoyed Pilates because I had had back pain after baby number one or something. And then athletes just started coming in the door. And then they're like, well, I just came to talk to you because you helped me in my game. And I'm like, huh. I had a brain, and a light bulb go off, and I had a
Huh?
brain, my brain was braining. And I'm like, huh, maybe I should do a class, maybe. And they're like, yeah, I'd come just for the class. And it started to evolve where I used my curriculum writing skills, which I wrote several forms of curriculum in history and English. And I just adopted my psychology and my cognitive science and a little bit of the neuroscience and adopted the phone techniques and stats and went, okay, if I want kids to reduce their phone time, but I can't tell them to get off a phone, I've got to let them experience what their body's going to feel when their phone's down. Because I can't say, put down your phone, right? So I have to get them to experience what it's like to be off your phone first. So I tried to teach the programs that I wrote. It's a MGA Sharpen Your Pro Athlete program. It's used in schools, actually, healthcare workers, teachers, principals take it as a cognitive coaching platform. We want to reduce phone time because you can't concentrate to learn mental skills until you do. So we teach few little basic mental skills while they're reducing their phone time. In 1 week, they're skating faster, they're hitting harder, and their hockey IQ goes up. 1 week. We've even seen kids in 48 hours text me go, Larissa, I was on fire today in my hockey development. I'm like, yeah, right. And so the kids that phone you with a win, that's hard not to cry. When the parents call you and they're like, thank you, like you've done this, like thank you, I just didn't know what to do. Hug. It's amazing. I have the best job in the world.
It's interesting that you say that. I'm sitting here in goosebumps just because my
Oh,
family, all the coaching and all the stuff that we've done it really resonates when you find a coach. So like when my middle daughter was going off to college, my father said to me, and she played D1 sport, but she was, more intellectual than she was athlete type of thing, but she's good enough to certainly contribute well to the team. And he said, look for a life coach. It's not like she's going to go and become a professional athlete. But what was interesting about that, I thought about that. So she graduated in 2016, played for four
Okay.
years. He was a phenomenal, her coach was a phenomenal life coach. He was there for her. He taught her so many things. And I think that, what you're doing, and I bring that up only as to look at the parallels of the work you do. What's the saying about teach a man to fish, right? When you teach people how to think, how to feel, how to take
React. It's
in and
mostly how to
react
react, right?
exactly, and how to behave without it feeling like it's behavior, because if you
Right.
label them,
Yeah,
you're,
we kind of go at it through like a brain lab. I'm going to give you tools. You're going to come back to the brain lab. You're going to tell me, did this tool work or not? Go test
I
drive it.
love that.
So boys don't want to talk about feelings. Girls really don't want to talk about feelings. But those are the things in sports we don't want to talk about are the F words: fun, failure, and fear, right? So if we can talk about them in a way in which the kids don't feel awkward and old, like I deal with professional male athletes, so we work with the brain lab. It's the same way as me talking about feelings,
I love it.
but we're just calling it the brain lab. So they
That's
go
really
in and out.
smart. That's
I'm
really
test
smart.
driving, right? So, okay, did this negative self-talk strategy work for you at a face-off or after or on the bench? When did it work? Actually, it worked all. Okay, but it didn't work for me at this position on this team. Okay, why? Well, I think they were bigger than, like, we go through why, why. And we're always trying to give the kids more tools when they leave than when they came in with, right? That's the goal. Because if we can do this, then education gets better, right? If we can do this, sports ecosystems are doing it. I've got hockey associations, soccer clubs, football clubs all adopting, we call it the sport ecosystem refresh, where we go in and we give these tools to parents, we give these tools to coaches and athletes, because now you've armed and weaponized all of your arms of that ecosystem. So now behavior goes down and now you're all developing properly. There's no arguing. We've raised the bar of behavior. So now if you misbehave and you've been given 3 warnings from this club, parents actually get consequences as well, which is important, right? So we have to treat this more like a customer service. Athletes are coming here to get well equipped mentally, holistically, not just reps. If you're an association and you're just asking coaches to go in a silo and do reps, your association will fail. If you go in with an entire development plan and you hire really good coaches who adopt our methods, you will win a lot longer.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And what I like as well about it, Larissa, is you're not going to be an athlete for the rest of your life.
Oh,
These
not
all of these tools you're giving them equip them for every aspect of their life.
everywhere.
And I'm kind of curious because as you said, you were an history and English teacher. Now that you're doing this type of work, is there any correlation between how you're seeing how they're performing, their peak performance at sport, but are you also now correlating it back to how they're doing educationally?
What I see is a downfall in education in Canada. The learning is they're doing probably 30% less than what we did years ago because the kids are so far and so slow. The expectations of children have lowered to the point where they're allowed to do whatever they want, like hand in assignments late, be late for class. Well, those are not setting them up for college or life or work. So where are we going to start this? We started it before and the kids were doing okay, right? We're just talking about refreshing it, upping that standard of behavior. Because if we don't make these changes, I'm very concerned about we are seeing a drop in boys' GPAs in the US significantly.
Oh, in the
Significant
US.
in the US. In
Wow.
Canada, I'm seeing the averages and the teachers, what the teachers are sharing, and the data I can get my hands on they're all lower. Averages, kids are failing. The absenteeism has a direct correlation in marks. Kids online learning? No kid should be learning online. No kid. We learn less actually online. There's a break in comprehension, and there's also a deficiency in the amount of information that goes from short-term memory to long-term memory. So it's not as effective. And we're gravitating towards online because behavior's worse, right? Pretty soon it's going to be all privatized unless public education can rebalance it by re-engaging and reaffirming if you want to come to public school, your kids are going to have to behave. They're going to have to follow these rules and you're going to have to sign these new contracts. Like in England, you get 3 whammies. Then you're out
Wow.
of that school.
I'm curious, as we're having this conversation, because you've talked all about your students, your athletes, your professional athletes. How are you marching for mental wellness, Larissa?
I think I'm just trying to make sure that I equip myself daily with a balance, working out if I need to meditate. Meditation is new for me and hard for me to do because I'm wired to go, go, go. And I'm trying to eat well because sleeping, being on my phone less, I'm trying to do those things and instill them in my children, right? So my first goal is, right, to me to make sure I'm able to help my children and our family. So I'm trying to make sure that I follow routines. I do my best, right? I don't tend to, I'm not a wallower, I guess is what you're like. I'd rather, okay, here's a problem. Okay, I can give you a solution. Don't bring me a problem. I'll just give you a solution. And I know I kind of jump at that, but I do wait and I am patient. But if it's a problem that my children can fix, I guide them through that. But if it's someone saying, oh, this coach like write daily in work, I try to say, well, this is this problem, you have to go here and guide. So I'm pretty good at managing my stress because the amount of sad things that I see during the day is quite high. And the things that I hear about in all sports at all levels is pretty sad. But I do see that the work we're doing is changing this. So that makes me passion driven, not work driven,
Oh,
right?
I love that. I love that passion
Like
driven.
don't get me wrong, taxes and finances, that's work to me. Teaching, writing, creating, talking, being a master coach, whatever you want to call it, or an executive coach or a professional coach to athletes, I don't care what you call it. It's the love of teaching,
Mm, I
right?
love that. Yeah.
So just yeah, the only part of my job that I don't like is the finances and the tax.
Who likes that? But nobody
I
likes
have to
that.
admit it. No, but some people thrive off numbers
Yeah, but
and don't want
yeah,
to
when
work with
numbers are
people. I
good, they're
thrive off of
great.
helping people do better. That's what I
Right.
thrive off of, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say the things you see that are so sad, that our behaviors that we do every single day are role modeling good behaviors or bad behaviors for our
Right.
children. And
Yep.
we have the ability to like impact that. So with that, are you applying, so the Mental Game Academy, are you applying some of those tools to your own life or to
Yep.
your children's, or is it
Yep.
like,
Yep. We try and do the phone thing where we have a balance. I don't think my daughter's older. She was a
yeah, how old
swimmer.
are your kids, by the
So
way?
21, 18, and 14.
Okay,
And we didn't give the kids phones until they were in grade 9 or older because I didn't know
awesome.
this. I didn't know. We raised the first one. She never had a phone. It was an iPad. And I started to see the behavior changing in her. She became more introverted. So out with the iPad, she was swimming. I'm like, you're not in your room on your she started to change. I'm like, nope. And my dad came around. He was like, those are going to be the death of kids. Those things. That's what my dad said. And I went, I know, it's just a bad feeling I got. So I had a BlackBerry. Remember those?
Yeah, I had the
Yeah,
BlackBerry too.
I lost 20 pounds. I started to work more and I was pregnant with the studio and I didn't realize I was missing my daughter's appointment. So I became addicted to my BlackBerry thinking I was building this great business. I was very competitive, right? So I'm going to build, build, build. But what I was doing is missing things because I couldn't track everything. So that was one of the reasons why I switched to a phone that I put controls on, and I don't really scroll that much unless it's something where I have to go on and answer a message. I try not to even go on. I use Canva, and our social media uses Canva to post. So I feel better when I don't scroll from a nervous system point of view. I mentally don't want to see Botox lips and fake photos, and I go on to see if my athletes are how they're doing, like if they post something like, right? Those are wins for me. So I designed my social media to make me feel good instead of watching social media to make me feel bad.
Just hearing you, I'm thinking, gee, my whole business is like, this is what I need to
Right,
do,
like,
but I
but just
don't.
and don't do it for 10 hours. You can do it for 10 minutes 3 times a day. Just lowering your dopamine, keeping your dopamine lower is better for you and your weight. Cortisol will bump that, right, our weight up. So The more you scroll, the more you check your phone, the more you're going to be overweight or battle with weight, right?
Interesting.
Too. Yeah, I know. If everyone knew that there was a link between phone use and extra cortisol, it's going to be harder and harder to lose weight.
What would you say, like, with Mental Game Academy today, like, who are you working with, and what would you say the three greatest things are that you're seeing, the
Oh,
positive things? Because we've
yeah,
heard a
I
lot about the
love it.
challenges.
I have athletes that have gone from 10 hours of phone use a day to 2 who have made the NHL. I've got some girls who are in the PWHL. We've got track athletes in NCAA who have made their personal bests and are in the top 3 all the time. We have athletes who are trying to draft who are about to quit their sport, learned how social media made you negatively think, change these things. I love the changes I'm seeing in all of our athletes. I can't, they're all winning. Like not one of them is losing here. So I like to see all of them. They're all winning in all the ways they want, and that's what matters to me. And the coaches that we work with, the ones that want to grow and learn to deal with this new, less equipped kid, watching and learning from these coaches about what they're seeing, we're only giving them more tools to work with that.
Yeah.
So I love those wins. We're winning with the coaches, we're winning with sports, we're winning with the kids not going to psychotherapists needing to be on medication. They don't need to be on medications. They need to be outside socializing and off phones. And I'm seeing that's what we there are like Australia's way ahead of us. They've banned YouTube, banned social media. Kids are actually signing up for sports now. There's a huge link between that. Sorry, I hate those words. I shouldn't say that, but there's a
Well,
link, direct link between when you ban phones, ban social media, and see an increase in sports signups.
this is very educational, actually. And of course,
Oh,
everything you're saying is not surprising at all. It's just that, you know what it is, Larissa? If you're not in there dealing with it, you don't think about it. But
but we
when
see
you're
the impact everywhere.
exactly, when you,
Right? The
exactly.
impact is everywhere in the news. The violence, the suspensions, the attendance, the behavior. The a coach got shot by a parent last week, and it happened again last month. 20 years ago, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
So we have to look about what was working then versus what do we have to do to move forward.
well, the thing is it's tricky as well. It's not like you're going to take away the phones, like,
I
devices.
think eventually this will be like cigarettes for kids. I don't think kids
Oh, it'll
need to
be
have
like with
phones.
the Surgeon General warning.
Well, I don't think they're going to be medicine just can't cope with this much mental health. And I let's not even say it's not even mental health. This is behavioral epidemic. You only have mental health if you're mentally fit. So we have no mental health really. So we need to focus on solutions, equipping. And once we do that, the kids are good. They
That's
can go
so,
do whatever they want. They could go like I could be president. Yeah, you can. I can like they can feel like they can do anything. That's our job is to make them feel like they can do anything. But that's also a parent's job.
yeah, well, it's interesting you just said that because when we think about it, it starts with in the
It starts at
home,
home.
the environment, the school, community. And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious as you're seeing this, as you're thinking about the future, the work you're doing today, you're seeing a lot of wins, you say. But what
Yeah.
would you say, like, as you see 5 years out, 10 years out, what are you imagine? Because I'm sure you're thinking about your
Yeah.
business
We I
in
do have a
terms
pl
of,
we do have a plan and I do see a movement that the educational system, the sports system, and healthcare cannot sustain this. Not with the population. So something needs to change. And kids cannot be on the amount of anti-anxiety, antidepressants at such a young age when they don't need to be, when they're being drowned by dopamine and social media negativity. So I think there's going to be a major change with phones, or we're going to hit a tipping point that we won't know how to recover. And then there'll be a complete ban. That's where I think it'll get to.
I'd
Their
be really
brains
curious.
are too young and too uncontrolled because their frontal lobe's not developed. So if you put a phone in front of them, a 2-year-old I saw was on a phone the other day in front of his mom at a game, took the phone away from the 2-year-old, screamed because the child loved the dopamine. It made this feeling makes you feel good. Even at 2, you can be addicted. So this is not just for girls. This is a whole societal addiction from 2 to 82.
I was just going to ask you, as you imagine going forward, because you're dealing with a lot of, athletes that I guess it sounds like a later stage if they're going off
They're
to
everywhere.
NHL drafting, but like, how do you imagine, like, it seems to me Mental Game Academy could be applied at a younger age behaviorally
Absolutely.
in
By
educational
10 years old,
systems.
they can do this. It could be curriculum in the
Exactly.
systems. It could be curriculum, like I wrote a program for the mental game for breast cancer, right? How to battle that, right? So we have steps, 10 steps to mentally survive cancer. And there's really no the one in between appointments helping you. You got to do it all by yourself, right? So we've done educational, sport, and medical.
That's wonderful. And I like
Yeah.
the idea of the curriculum and giving, it's all about giving them tools for resilience, right?
Tools.
Tools
And
for.
they need tools, they need practice, and then execution. We can do that. It's not hard.
Are you doing most of the work you're doing in person? Are you doing it online as
Well, we're everything. We're in person, online, and it's more fun for me in person because I like the kids are more fun, you get more interaction, more intensity. So I think the future of this is we're growing in the US as well, right? And in the UK, so we're diversifying and growing, and I can't wait because we can impact so many more people.
it's going to be an in-person thing? It's about scaling. How many Larissas do you have who like
Right
really
now we
live
have
and
10
breathe?
Larissas.
10 Larissas. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kudos to you. That's awesome.
Yeah. And we're actually looking to certify more people because we're growing. So we're always looking for very strong, motivated adults who want to make this impact.
The power of what you're doing, the impact of what you're doing is really profound. Particularly, I mean, I'm not suggesting not at the later stages, but if you get them
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
young, you like literally their
Yeah,
trajectory changes dynamically
it
almost
does.
instantly.
I saw changes in a 10-year-old and the parents told me the whole day, the next day. And all we did was give him the brain. What do I do when I mess up on the ice? Okay, what do I do when I mess up at school? Same tool. Okay, so now you got to do what? He goes, well, I use cross-examine my critic. That's a technique. It's best friend on your shoulder. Tell you you're your best friend. You're your best coach in your head. And we tell the kids, parents aren't going to be on the ice with you. Coaches aren't going to be on the ice with you. They're not going to be in your exams with you. You have to have your best self-talk voice coach in your head for life. You're your own best friend for life, right? So we need that to be equipped the best it can be. And getting the little kids, it's easy. Older kids have worse addictive phone habits, so it is harder. It's not doable because it is. I see it happen every day. They drop their phone time because they know they're seeing the results. They feel faster, more powerful, and stronger because dopamine makes us dopey. As soon as we go off dopamine,
Even though they are harder to affect change. And so imagine getting even older. But I think once you feel the results, you feel
they
so
feel
good.
it.
And it's sort of like going on a diet or
It
changing your
is,
life and meditating and then suddenly stopping and you're like the
right?
power of that feeling of feeling good, of feeling healthy, of feeling sharp, of
Yeah.
feeling empowered and powerful
Strong.
in sport and strong is just
Strong and
amazing.
habitual, like
Love it.
in your groove. That's what we want.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, this has just it's been fascinating, Larissa, and I think you're
Thank
doing
you.
really important work. This is your platform today to give a message to women of all ages, of all backgrounds, of all cultures. What do you want to leave them with?
Probably two things. You will never feel better when you go on your phone. You are not going to feel happier. You are not going to feel valued. You are not going to feel important by scrolling. So if you can help younger women by getting off your phone or your daughters or your girls or your teams, help them to learn that phones don't make us more powerful. They actually make us feel like we can't do as much. And this is such an important point in their lives when confidence and self-esteem for all women is so tender at this point with social media. Don't let social media control you. You must control it. And this is where I see the biggest change in their brains. Oh, yeah, I don't want anybody to control me. So, educating young women about phones and what phones can do to their self esteem, their confidence, and their resilience, that's probably the most powerful message here today. That phones just will never make us feel better. They're tools, but they're not going to replace a human friendship. They're not going to replace our value. They're not going to, right? So, but you can't get anything to help you feel better on a phone.
I love that message. And it's so interesting because it's such a tangible thing versus it's not like not philosophical or anything, but
Right.
but the result of it's the other
And they'll
side
do
of
it.
it is profound. The feeling is profound. So that's wonderful. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for getting under
Thank
the hood with
you.
me. I love the work you're doing. Thanks for listening to Under the Sisterhood. If you haven't already, please give us a quick rating and review on Apple or Spotify. And make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn so you can hear from more amazing women. This podcast is created and hosted by Under the Sisterhood LLC and Elizabeth Elfenbein, produced by Elizabeth Elfenbein and Matt Butler, and edited by Matt Butler. The music is by Ayla Schaefer. Her song, Rose.